Welcome back to another Sunday prep day. If you're new here, every Sunday I prep for the week. So that means cutting all my vegetables and making things that take a little bit longer. So today I'm going to make some pork belly, some stock for my ramen, which is going to be the braising liquid from the pork. And I'm going to make some soup, and I'm going to make some salsa. So I'm going to start off by cutting up some onions for my soup and my stock. And then I'll just go over the menu. So for lunch today, as usual, I'm going to have some sandwiches with some ham and some cucumber, some lettuce. Most of my lunches are low-carb, keto-friendly, except on the weekend when I have my cheat days because I do miss bread. And when I go over my menu, what you won't hear me mention is breakfast because I'm not really a breakfast person, so I don't usually eat that. So I'm just going to do 2 of these yellow onions. And then for dinner, I have some Turkish bread, some pita, and I'm going to have that with some chicken, and I'll put some veggies on there like cucumber, onions, pepper, lettuce, that kind of stuff. And then we're on Monday, Meatless Monday. For lunch, I'm going to have some soup. And that's just going to be some vegetable soup. I did think about doing a tomato soup because I have some tomatoes left over. But I've been making tomato soup a lot, so I thought I would go with the vegetable soup instead. Then we're on dinner. I'm going to have more of that flatbread, but this time with some falafel because it is Meatless Monday. And again, I'll have that with lettuce, probably like some kind of garlic sauce. What else? Some cucumber. So then I'm going to cut up some red onions for those sandwiches that I mentioned, and also for a stir fry. So that was Monday. Then Tuesday for lunch, I'm gonna do some pork belly with some green beans. If I do pork belly, I usually make a big batch and just have that for several meals. That's why you'll see that come back with a few menu entries this week. And then for dinner, I'm going to make some pork belly tacos. So that's going to be pork belly, that's going to be hard shell tacos, lettuce. Maybe I'll do some of the chunky salsa that I'll be making, or I'm going to do some barbecue sauce. That I don't know yet. We'll just see when it comes to Tuesday. Then for Wednesday, I'm going to do a low-carb stir-fry with chicken. And when I do low-carb stir-fries, I usually use broccoli stems for the bulk instead of like a rice or noodles. Because I usually have broccoli stems left over because I do like broccoli. And this is a perfect way to use them. Waste not, want not. So that is onions cut up. Then we were on Wednesday, so the stir fry. And then for dinner, I'm going to do some ramen with pork belly. And with that, I'll have some sugar snaps. No, not sugar snaps, snow peas. I always get those two confused. I'm just cutting up some leek for my vegetable soup and for my stock. But yeah, ramen, I'll have some enoki mushrooms for that as well, pork belly. I'll probably use, with the stock, I'll also do some miso paste and some chili oil to give it some extra flavor. There we go. And then we're on Thursday, so for lunch, I'm going to do some snow peas with a pork chop. And then for dinner, I'm going to do a rice bowl with pork belly and a chunky salsa. I'm cutting up one spring onion, mostly for decoration, garnish. Then we're on Friday. I have some tuna in the freezer, some tuna steaks. So I'm gonna have a tuna steak with some green beans. And then for dinner, I'm gonna take those tuna steaks and I'll cut them into smaller pieces, and I'll use that for a gochujang tuna, like a noodle bowl, or maybe I'll do rice. I think I'm gonna do noodles, like some rice noodles or something like that. We'll just see. I can always change out the carb in it. So yeah, that's all the menu items. For garlic, I need a few whole cloves for my stock and my soup. And then the rest for my stir fry, I'll just give a chop, my stir fry, my salsa, etc. Alright, let's start on some carrots. I'll just use 3, and again, they're for my stock, for my ramen, and for my soup. So I'll just cut all 3 of these into little slices. I'm not gonna strain my or blend up my vegetable soup, so I want everything bite size. I'm gonna strain off my my stock, so it doesn't really matter for that, but since I'm already cutting anyway, might as well cut it for that as well. Then also for my soup, I have some parsley. I'm just gonna give that a rough chop for my soup. I'm gonna leave it in this time. Sometimes when I make like tomato soup and stuff, I like to fish it out because I don't want all that color, but in this case I'm making vegetable soup, so I just want that in whole. Well, not whole, but like chopped up, and just leave it like that. And then while we're on soup things, I have some ribs of celery. These are the last few ribs I have. So I'll just give those a quick chop. And again, I'm kind of fine because I'm leaving it like this for my soup. Then next up, some broccoli stems. Like I said, these are the perfect way to use them up. So as you can see, I took off all the leaves and like the little remnants of the leaves. So how fine you cut them is up to you. I don't mind them a bit chunky, but if you don't like that, you can like grate them for like a broccoli rice or something, but just cut them as fine as you like. Alright, that's broccoli. Then next up we'll do some pepper for my like chicken flatbreads, and for my I'll probably put some in my chunky salsa as well, and I'll put some in my stir fry. So I just have one of these pointy peppers, and I'm just going to cut that into strips. Don't need it too fine. Then next up I have some chilies. Again, for my stir fry, for my sandwiches, for my salsa, things like that. So these jalapenos, I have 2. I'm just going to take the seeds out, mostly because they're annoying. And I'll just slice them up. And then I also have 2 cayenne, and I'm not going to bother taking the seeds out of those, and I'll just chop them up for basically the same things as jalapenos. And then for my chunky salsa, I have some tomatoes. These are quite small, so I have 6. If you have bigger tomatoes, use less. And I'm just going to quarter them and then take the seeds out. And this is for my chunky salsa, so that can go in my little food processor cup. And the reason I'm taking the seeds out is because I don't want all that water. Okay, that's tomatoes done. Next up, I have some cucumbers for my sandwiches. So for my sandwiches with ham today, for my sandwiches with chicken tonight, and for my falafel sandwiches tomorrow. So I'll just slice both of these up. And these are just little Persian cucumbers. That's the cucumber I've preferred lately. Nice and flavorful. Then I have some cilantro. Half of this is going to go in my salsa, and half is going to go in some lime cilantro rice when I make my rice bowl with pork belly and salsa. So I'm saving the stems for things like curry paste, and this I'll just run through with my knife until it's nice and fine. And then I have a whole bunch of green beans. I'll just top and tail them. Those are for several meals this week. So yeah, just top and tail this whole bunch. All right, that done. And then all I have left are some enoki beans. I'm not gonna chop them, but I'm gonna use about half of these for my stock, and the other half I'm going to use for my ramen as like a garnish. I will take the little ends off. But yeah, that's all the chopping done, and we're at 24 minutes. So I'm quickly gonna clean up a bit, put things away that I don't need anymore, and then we'll get started on the soup and the stock, etc. While my two Ninja Foodies are preheating on saute, I'm gonna start with my salsa. So I have my tomatoes. I'll add in a bit of pepper, some chilies, some red onion, some garlic, and some spring onion. And I'm just going to blitz that real quick. I'm only doing a few pulses because I want it chunky. I do not want it smooth. I'll just give it a few first passes. And I'm gonna add a little bit of salt, some cumin, lime juice, and cilantro. And I'm just going to give that a few more pulses to combine. And like I said, don't over blend it. And there we go, that's our chunky salsa done. So now I can put the lid on, and that can just go in the fridge. And in the meantime, both my Ninja Foodies have preheated, so I'm going to put a little bit of oil in both. And I'm going to put about 1 yellow onion's worth in each. And 2 whole cloves of garlic in each. And I have 3 carrots here, so I'm going to put half in each. You get the theme. Same with the celery, half in each. Leek, half in each. I'll add some salt. And just as I was about to say, when my camera turned off because it overheated, I just let the vegetables soften, and this is when they take a different direction. So my pot for my ramen stock, I'm going to add some dried shiitake mushrooms and about half of my enoki mushrooms. And I'm going to take my pork belly and I just squirt the skin. And I'm going to put that skin side down on the top. And the reason I'm putting that skin side down is so as much as the fat renders out as possible. And then for my soup, I'm going to add my parsley. And to both, I'm going to add some water. And with the stock, I want most of the meat to be submerged, but it doesn't need to be all submerged. And then I'm going to take my pressure lids, put those on, and turn both of these to pressure cook. Make sure the valves are closed. And the soup, I'm going to do 20 minutes, that should be enough. And the pork belly probably needs about 40 minutes. So I'm just gonna let that do its thing, and I'll check back in when that's done. All right, and that's everything done. So the soup is ready. I just need to warm that through tomorrow for lunch. My pork belly is done. When it comes time to use it, I just need to slice off a piece and air fry that 20 minutes to get it nice and crispy, and then I'll slice it up further and serve it with my ramen and with my my rice bowl, etc. And then the stock from the braising liquid from the pork belly, I just strained that. I can strain a little bit more, but that is ready to use as the base for my ramen broth. And I'll just add a little bit of miso paste, some chili oil, etc. But yeah, that's the prep for this week. I can now have lunch or dinner on the table in minutes. And if you like this kind of content, I do this every single Sunday. And if you would like to see what I do with all of this, every meal I post on Instagram, which is linked below, and I also post a video here on YouTube about once a month where I show you everything I eat in a day for a whole week, and I released one this last Friday. So yeah, if this sounds good to you, leave a like, leave a comment, and subscribe, and thank you for watching. Until next time, bye for now.